A wandering sage shares his name with a Naga princess. A king insults a silent ascetic in the forest, and a wrathful boy is about to hear what his father endured. Adi Parva, Book 1, Chapter 36. In the previous chapter, Vasuki served as the churning rope at the great churning of the ocean, and Brahma confirmed the prophecy. The righteous Nagas will be spared. Brahma charged Vasuki to give his sister Jaratkaru in marriage to the Brahmin ascetic of the same name, and Vasuki at once set serpents to guard her and await the appointed hour. Janamejaya turned to Ugrasravas with a question he could not set aside. "O son of the Sutta, you have spoken the name Jaratkaru. I wish to hear more about that great-souled sage. What is the reason this name became known on earth? Explain its meaning properly."
Ugrasravas replied, "Jara means a terrible wasting, and Karu is the word for what is harsh and consuming. The sage's body was of that very nature, and he slowly burned it away through fierce tapas, ascetic practice. Therefore he is called Jaratkaru. Vasuki's sister bears the same name."
On hearing this, Shaunaka, righteous in spirit, laughed and told Ugrasravas it was well answered. After a very long time had passed, the sage of firm vows, devoted to austerities and deep in wisdom, had still not sought a wife. He was Urdhvaretas, one who preserves his vital energy through complete celibacy, given wholly to tapas, devoted to Vedic recitation, and free from fear and weariness. He wandered across the entire earth, and not even in his mind did he desire a wife. In a later age, a king named Parikshit arose to uphold the Kaurava lineage. He was as devoted to hunting as Pandu had once been, the mighty-armed foremost archer on earth, for Pandu was his great-grandfather. Piercing deer, boars, hyenas, buffaloes, and many other wild creatures, the lord of the earth roamed the forests. Once having struck a deer with a smooth-jointed arrow, Parikshit took up his bow and pursued it into the dense forest. It called to mind the time when Rudra himself, having pierced the sacrificial deer in the heavens, followed it with bow in hand, searching on all sides. No deer struck by Rudra had ever survived to escape into the forest. And so the disappearance of the deer Parikshit had struck was surely an omen foretelling his own passage to Svarga, the heavenly world. Led far astray by the creature, the king grew exhausted and tormented by thirst. Deep in the forest he came upon a sage seated in a cow pasture, drinking the froth that flowed from the mouths of calves as they fed at their mother's teats. Parikshit rushed toward this sage of firm vows, raised his bow, and worn with hunger and fatigue, called out, "Ho, O Brahmin! I am King Parikshit, son of Abhimanyu. A deer I shot has disappeared. Have you perhaps seen it?" The sage said nothing, for he was observing a vow of silence. The king's patience broke. He lifted a dead serpent with the tip of his bow and draped it over the sage's shoulder. Still the sage said nothing, neither auspicious nor ill. The king looked at what he had done. His anger was spent, but he felt uneasy. He turned and went back to his city. The sage sat on, just as before, unchanged. Now that sage had a young son, Shringi by name, fierce in energy, great in his austerities, exceedingly wrathful, difficult to appease, and firm in his vows. At all proper times and with careful discipline, Shringi devoted himself to the worship of Brahma, supreme lord of all, with full attention to the welfare of every being. He had lately been away at such worship and had returned home only after receiving Brahma's leave. While still away from his father, he had been spoken to by a friend, a playful, laughing young Brahmin, slender and well regarded among the sons of sages, who spoke in jest. But Shringi was quarrelsome and hot-tempered by nature, like poison in his quality. The friend said, "Your father, too, brilliant though he is and a great ascetic, carries a corpse on his shoulder. Do not be proud, O Shringi. Where now is your pride over your father? Where are those grand words of yours? They were born of arrogance, now that you yourself see your father bearing a corpse on his shoulder." You may speak boldly among the sons of sages, but do not raise your voice before those like us, accomplished ones, knowers of Brahman, ascetics. This chapter matters because Ugrasravas explains to Janamejaya the etymology of the name Jaratkaru, then recounts how the wandering, celibate sage shared his name with Vasuki's sister. In the next chapter, the curse of Shringi. Young Shringi, inflamed by the news that King Parikshit had draped a dead serpent on his silent, fasting father's shoulder, curses the king in fury. The great serpent Takshuka will kill him within 7 nights. The journey continues in the next chapter.